Just when you think you know what's going to happen in a hockey game, lo and behold, along comes Dan Vladar, or Vladar, or Darth, as people call him. And the Boston Bruins show up and play the kind of hockey that it takes to win. Not just win, but to beat a very good team, a very hot team, a very good team at home. And they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 2-1 the night after losing a game 4-1. And a couple of days after getting beat awfully by the New York Rangers. So are we at split personality time as we welcome you in to Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor? A much better feel, no question about it. But are we at that split personality time? The older people listening will appreciate the Sybil reference. That's where is that where we're at, Razor?
Matt, my high school girlfriend likes me again. TA, she likes me again, right?
She likes me again.
Back.
Yes,
I'm back. I'm back at the top of the prom.
She's
list.
reeled me back in. Yes.
These guys are going to win the cup now. The Lord of the Rings. Geez, is it a product of the year and the way the schedule is and the setup or is it just this is what this team's going to be the rest of the way? And I guess we hope they get in the playoffs and you hope they get on a hot streak come playoff time. All those kind of rhetorical questions I just asked, I'm not sure. It was a wonderful effort tonight. And we've seen a couple of these efforts now. It was similar to the Washington Capitol effort. Faced some adversity throughout the game, found a way, came together, had big performances from younger guys. And that was the case tonight. So, a positive, but they've got to string these together. If they go and lose, in the next couple games, then we're one step forward, two step back again. Man. But let's focus on tonight and enjoy it. And I'm sure they're doing the same, whether they're in Pittsburgh or on a plane right now. They're enjoying it a little bit, and hopefully they can take what they've done and build on it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to jump to Buffalo just yet, but I know you said two steps forward, one step back. If let me just say this.
We'll get this one out of the way. Yes, get this out of the way.
If they lose to Buffalo, let's get it out of the way. If they lose to Buffalo on Thursday, that ain't two step forward, one step back.
No.
It's one step forward and about 10 steps back.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, that's right.
So, all right, let's not go there. Let's go to where we really want to go. Good stuff that happened. Let's start with Dan Vladar, goaltender who's been a part of the organization going on his 5th season. Young kid came over at 18, didn't have to go back to juniors, being from Europe, could come play in, he actually had a time in the USHL, and then he ended up going to, wasn't he in the Coast? I should have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he was in the Coast. Yep. He was down in Atlanta. Yeah,
right.
He's seen it all.
He's seen it all. Came over here ready to make it happen. Thrilled for him. We both thought that he should be the starter. He got the nod for many of the reasons that you and I talked about. Being a former goaltender, being in his skates before. Tell me what you liked most about his game and how you thought, what you thought was, I guess, just the best part, the right part of his game that you saw tonight.
Sure. I was looking for someone who controlled his depth, being aggressive in the right times, having proper reads, being conservative at other times with his, coming out of his crease. I wanted to see him get set on shots. The one thing in the bubble, and it was 15, he's played 35 minutes, I believe, 15 shots against Tampa in the bubble, and talk about trying to drink from a fire hose. That's as big as it gets with that wagon that the Tampa Bay Lightning had going then. But during that game, he was moving around a lot. His feet were moving, watching that, thinking, is this how it always is? And I was curious to see how it was going to be tonight, whether he was going to be moving around, but there was none of that. He was set on every shot. He trusted all of his reads. There was a save in the first. He came out really aggressive on a partial 2-on-1, made a nice shoulder save.
Yep.
And then we get to the paddle save, which completely settles him in. When you make a save like that earlier in the game, you get a really good feeling that this is going to kind of go your way for a little while, and you can really settle in. So I really enjoyed the way he played tonight. I thought he really couldn't have played a much better game than what he did.
Yeah, I mean, to my untrained goaltender eye, control. He looks very different than what Tuukka, than what Yara does. I mean, even Tuukka looks like, when he's so calm, right? But then when Tuukka's coming out and he plays the puck so much better, just a different look. Not that he didn't play the puck, but it wasn't much.
When he did, he didn't do it well. Actually, he didn't
Yeah.
do it. He bobbled 2 or 3. He bobbled one in the third period to be nitpicky on the kid on his first start, but
he didn't do it too much, and
No.
that's what I liked. He didn't try to do it too much.
That's
to
right.
show everybody I'm okay. Meaning he said, okay, it's not my strength.
Yep.
So he'll work on that. So love that. Loved his reaction after the game, admitting about how, not just his dream, but how he might sleep with the puck. This will be it. And damn right.
yeah.
I tell you, absolutely right. If I could get a bucket of pucks from that first game, I'd smother myself in them, and
That's right.
put them all over me, and sleep. I mean, you kidding me? First game, first win. It's nice, if only also because it allows the Bruins to take a deep breath and to say, all right, we don't know if he's the goalie of the future. They don't have to, but we know that at least he can play in an NHL game. And now in this crazy truncated season, if we need to call on him again, we think we can do it.
Absolutely correct. And it's a good feeling for the team in a time when you're looking for reasons to be excited and happy and look for things from the outside. This is a good feeling for the Bruins, not just the 2 points, but hey, this kid got his first win. He's happy. All of the guys he played with in Providence, that brings those guys up. Then that raises the float of Marchand and Bergeron. Those guys are happy to see it. That brings them back to their first games all the way through. It's just a really good feeling for the group that are on the road for another 4 or 5 days. So to your point, it turns him into a more valuable asset for the organization. If you want to go to the meat part of professional hockey, that's the reality. He's a more valuable commodity than he was 4 or 5 days ago. So that's great for the organization. They're developing these players, and we talked about it. We didn't really touch on it on this show, but we talked about it off air a little bit. Just getting these young guys to show, really show their worth. And there's a lot of guys around the league that are young, that are coming in at 21, 22, and they're taking off right away. And we've seen it with Frederic. We saw it with Vladar tonight. We haven't seen it with all of them. And I think it's just a really positive thing for the organization to get him his win tonight and make everyone feel real good.
And speaking of feeling good, Oscar Steen, I think, will feel good about his performance. I think Jay Leach, the head coach of Providence, will feel good about his performance because he knows what he did in Providence and hoping to see that he can translate that to the NHL. And he did just that. He was credited with 5 hits, only played a little under 10 minutes due to special teams play, but also he got cut at one point. So, I mean, I don't think I expected him to play more than 12 as it is, but still, he was impactful. He, again, credited with 5 hits. I think they're a little generous with hits and shots in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they are.
That's fine. I still like the people there. It's still a fun town. But I liked what Oscar Steen brought. And this is the type of performance that they are going to need, not just a little bit here and there. They're going to need this more and more as they continue to play 4 games a week regularly between now and the end of the regular season. You're going to have probably 5 guys that you can regularly insert in and out of the lineup and be not just space fillers, but effective players when they're out there.
That's right. And we touched on in the telecast, when you come into these games as a first game or called up for the minors, there is nothing more important, literally nothing more important. Even you scoring a goal, more important is the team gets the win. Coaches don't like changing things up.
Right.
They want to
Be a
keep
part
things
of
the
it.
same when they get win. If you get a win, you heard Cassidy already talking about, is he going to be with Coyle or is he going to be with Krejci? That is very good news for Mr. Steen to be hearing after a game like that tonight. And again, I want to see one of these guys take the bull by the horns like Frederick has. If they get one more young guy to take the bull by the horns like Trent Frederick has, who just refuses to give anybody excuse to take him out of the lineup, that goes a really long way for how they want to play the next couple weeks, especially going into a trade deadline.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm going to say something, though. It's good news for Oscar Steen. I don't know if it's good news or a good sign for Craig Smith.
I know.
Meaning, I'm not saying he's coming out of the lineup. He's not. Who are they going to put in? I mean, Kosh is not. He's not. Forget ready. He's. Studnicka is not going to come in. I don't see that. If everybody's healthy, but I think by Butch saying that post game, it's kind of like saying, "Hey, Smitty, we need more out of you." I mean, he had 3 attempts, 1 hit the net in 13 and a half minutes. He's only scored I think it's 1 goal. I could be wrong. 18 games now.
I think it's 18.
Right?
No, I was going to say 18.
So they need more out of him, man. They do if they're going to be successful. But I agree. I liked Steen. I like that. Before we get to the Tenorti situation, let's just run through the goals quickly. Pasternak opens the scoring a couple of minutes into the game on the power play. We had some questionable calls early on in the game. I'm not one to bitch about the officiating much. Having been a college hockey official, knowing that you don't always see things the same way, have the benefit of replay, this and that, I just feel like we had another kind of mixed crew. We had a young kid in Lambert, and I don't know. Anyways, again, I don't want to get into it with officials. Scratch that, right? I just thought, all right, but at least the Bruins took advantage of that power play that they got. And Pasternak with a nice play going wide right side from a breakout in his own zone. We don't normally see goals scored on the power play, Razor, off the rush. But the overload by the Penguins, they completely went to one half of the ice, and they completely left the weak side, the right side, open.
Yeah, they had some kind of a mismanagement, mismarking in the middle of the ice with Bergeron coming through the middle, and David was flying. Absolutely flying, and Dumoulin couldn't come over and cut it off, cut across, cut his angle off, and with that speed and a right-handed shot down that right wing, David has the ability to shoot at any point, so you have to respect that. And DeSmith has to set his feet just a little bit, and then once David goes to his backside, you have to stretch because you're far behind the play. You think you have to get to that far post before David, and then he just slides it through his legs. It's a heady play for a guy who scores 50 goals a year. It's not a surprise, but for a goaltender, you just can't allow him to get to the back post, and that's why Smith stretches out the way he does. And couldn't be a more perfect start for a first-time goaltender and a team playing in front of a first-time goaltender on a back-to-back night when they feel like they need the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pasternak, by getting wide too, he's really good at getting wide. To your point, so Smith thinks when his base gets wide, he could go to the far post. But Pasta's really good at kicking up that leg almost and stopping himself, and then he just slows himself down enough to go 5-hole. I love how NHL players can do the 5-hole goal. I think we talked about it in one of our first Morning Brews. And yet it is so hard to do. And I don't want to say they make it look easy on goalies, but when it's done right, it's just how they process it. The timing of it is spectacular. The other play that Pasternak's good at, and with the toe curve, he can handle the puck, is when he goes to the backhand, brings it all the way, he puts the brakes on, brings it all the way back, and then he kind of like a stop play, and then he can go near post with it. But that's the thought process that the goaltender, I think the Smith, is thinking. I've got to protect against all this. But as soon as he opens it up, Pasternak finds the seam and puts it in. So the Bruins go up 1-0 on the power play goal. And they're doing well. It was a good first period. As we said on the telecast, much, much better first period with regard to how all the chances were legit chances. It wasn't from distance stuff. But
they're getting inside.
Inside and retrievals and legitimate, But later in the period, I mean, it's a goal by Tanev, who we're going to talk about in a minute, about the Tenorti hit. Who
forgot he was the one who scored.
Yeah, he scored. He's having a hell of a year.
He is.
7 goals. Signed a long-term extension under Jimmy Rutherford a little while ago, and Rutherford took some heat for it because people said, "Why are you signing?" It wasn't even an extension; it was a free agent deal. why are you signing a fourth liner like that? And they're like, no, this is the kind of player we need here to help complete this team. I do like him. Again, take out the hit. He's a clean player.
Yeah, he is.
I like him. And went to Providence College too, by the way. So anyway, he scores a goal off of. There was a good screen in front. Wasn't there a deflection right before
it tipped just a little bit, and it wasn't a hard shot, so that little tip slowed it down even more, where that rebound just kind of slides off the pad. It doesn't hit and go flying past, and Tanev, like you talked about, went to the net and stopped. Didn't curl, stopped right there, stick on the ice, and it was pretty easy tap in for him. But again, that's because the puck wasn't coming in too hot and nice and slow along the ice, where the goalie can't steer it or can't kick it away.
It's almost a shock when the puck comes in that slow, meaning because you're expecting always hard play, quick, fast, heavy, but yet it came in. It was Rodriguez, former BU Terrier, and Kapanen. I think it was Kapanen who was the first
was
one
in front.
Yeah, and did that. So it was. Listen, it was a play. Vladar I didn't think could really do anything on that one there. It reacted well, made some other good saves. We talked about that too in the telecast after that. So it's no goals in the second period, 1-1 heading into the third. And then the Bruins get on a good forecheck. I in the third period, I'm pulling it up because my memory sucks. They were outshot 11-5. I think a bunch of those shots came later in the period.
Yeah,
too.
Once they got up 2-1.
Once they got up, right, 2-1. And look, let's not forget the Bruins had a power play, a major, and they didn't get anything going. What I liked is that they didn't buckle. I liked that they didn't let up that, this is going to come. I said it to myself. I think I even may have said it to you, or maybe somebody else texting with during the game, like, don't let that not scoring on the 5-minute major come back to haunt them, because usually it does.
Yeah.
It usually does. Love the goal that Frederick scored. By the way, that's the second shot from distance goal. He's scoring. Scored in the Lake Tahoe game too.
Yeah, very similar to that goal.
Very similar, different side of the ice, but he does a nice job, Razor, staying above the puck, getting the pucks, and then I guess the quick release. So it isn't textbook, but yet you give him credit for being in the right spot. But it really started with a Pastrnak play behind the net, protecting the puck and keeping it alive.
That's right. And he didn't chip it away. He didn't put it into the other corner and let Brad Marchand. He held on to it. And we've talked, that's what we need to see more of, the bottom three lines. Holding on to pucks down low, chipping it in, holding on to it, not just trying to make seam passes across both the neutral zone and the offensive zone, holding on to it. And that's what David did. He got into the corner, held on to it. The longer he held on to it, it ended up having 3 Pittsburgh Penguins behind their own net. Then it's an easier high-low play. Then he chips it in the corner. It's an easier high or low-high play for Bergeron. And with Marchand changing at the same time, they can't match up. They can't mark up with everybody because they had 3 guys low behind the net. Frederick's so high, they can't close in on it. And then David gets inside positioning in front of the net on top of all of that, where DeSmith doesn't recognize, doesn't know that Frederick's off to his left just a little bit coming off the bench and can't project where that puck's going. Doesn't see it at all till the last second.
You know what that is right there from a defender's perspective. Not a defenseman, but a defender, meaning a player in that D zone. That's an oh shit moment because as a player there, you realize all of a sudden, oh shit, he's more open than what he should be. Even though it's from distance, I'm turning, I'm looking down at the guys behind the goal line, thinking we have him marked, or I'm in the middle of the ice and I've got to be right near a guy, right? I'm thinking that. I'm like, where do I check up against now? Meanwhile, all of a sudden, 20 feet away of open ice or that area, and again, I might be off by a couple of feet here. I don't have the replay in front of me, but a Bruin player, or in this case, Frederick, gets it. And you're like, oh shit. Now it's scramble time, right? And there's already a guy in front. One guy's already, Penguins on him. Was it Bergeron in front, right? It was Bergeron in front.
Yep.
Frederick puts it into the right spot. DeSmith can't get it. And it's a classic, just a great goal in the sense of it's not highlight reel, but it's a real goal.
Yeah.
It's a hard-earned goal.
That's right. That's an NHL goal. You're going to get highlight goals like David's. That's good. But the majority of them are going to be Tanev's and Fredericks in the National Hockey League. And and that's all about getting inside. That's how 5-on-5 goals are scored in the NHL, folks.
Amen.
We haven't seen
Those
too
are-
many of them, but that's a
Holy
5-on-5 goal.
Yeah, over 200 minutes. Right?
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus.
All right. So the Bruins, those are the goals. We go through them. Vladar, we go through. A few players still. I mean, we talked about Charlie Coyle. He was credited with 6 hits. He had 2 shots. Nick Ritchie had 5 shots on goal, a couple of hits in this game.
He did a great job in front of the net.
He did a great job. Yeah, you're right.
He
I
got
didn't
on-
like the power. Go ahead.
Oh, no, he just got unlucky a little bit on those tips. A couple of them hit him, just didn't go in. But again,
He was there.
The big rig's right there. He's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We liked the fourth line's game. We did. Liked
Coolman,
it.
2 games in a row. There's a guy who
Coolman.
come into the lineup. He's been, put 2 games together.
Yeah, and Corrali seems a little more effective. What he's been doing. It's been good. The defense in general I thought was very good. I didn't love Zaboral's game. I forget just the goal. Maybe a few other things here and there. I don't know. He seems to be, talking about the mood swings. I think he's still got a lot of that in him. This is where we're seeing the youngness, and it's the amount of games that we're playing too.
Yeah, and I think for me, his bar has been raised a little bit too. So the expectation, you want a little bit more out of him. You want to keep having him go on that angle. You don't want to see any plateaus. So tonight felt a little bit of a plateau game. I'm sure if this was his first NHL game, we wouldn't think, little mistake there, but no big deal. But he's past that now. He needs a little bit more. But and I know we're going to get to the hit, but Tenorti was very, very, very
yeah,
good.
That was a segue.
Leading into it, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Zaboral played only 12:37, 1 shot, 2 attempts, credited with 1 hit. What's interesting, Razor, he doesn't have a giveaway. So now,
How is that possible? I
so
saw it.
now, right there, because he was the player that kind of just pushed the puck away. Mm-hmm. And from any player who's been there at any level, when all of a sudden you're turned and you get a puck on your backhand, you just kind of, oh no, I got to do something. That's what he did right there before it led eventually to the goal,
Yeah.
the Pittsburgh goal. It's just interesting. It just goes to show you how it's different from rink to rink, how people are viewing these statistics.
Yeah.
To your point about Jared Tenorti, here's his line: 15 shifts, 11 minutes, 3 minutes and 1 second shorthanded. He had 7 attempts in the game, 2 on net, 2 were blocked, and 3 were missed. He had a bunch of hits, especially the big one on Evgeny Malkin early in the game. That they're calling it, by the way, lower body injury, which is what I thought. I thought it was more like a knee that he got. Like there was something that just wasn't right. And Jared Tenorti was excellent in this game before the hit, really moving well. And I did start to think, okay, maybe because we don't know where Kevin Miller's at. I mean, maybe this is your 6D. Maybe this is the time that Jared Tenorti finds a home for an extended period of time.
He was decisive in all his plays. First period, he does a great job fending off the forechecker and skates it all the way up to the far blue line, chips it in on net and gets an offensive faceoff. In second period, he jumps in the offensive zone, ends up down in behind the net, forechecking, digging in, and I didn't expect to see that out of his game. I blew perfectly blunt. I didn't watch a lot of tape on him in Nashville, but I can't imagine him doing that too often there. Yeah, so really loved his game up until 5 or 6 minutes left in that second period. So it was certainly a bonus in tonight's game to have him playing the way he was and doing a good job on the penalty kill, getting clears, being decisive.
I wonder if he was miscast in Montreal and a bit in Nashville. I don't know.
And it's easy to do that, right, when you're a first-round pick, especially in Montreal, when you have all bright lights on you. The game changes a little bit from the time you're drafted to where it is now, when the defensemen need to score to be affected or to be thought of as being effective. You need to have an offensive component. And it takes some guys longer to figure out how to do that and how to have confidence doing it.
But I wonder, but you know what? But I wonder though, when I say he was miscast, because I agree with you about the offensive end of it, but he was never. Can't imagine they drafted him as an offensive-minded defensive. I wonder if they drafted him to be a shutdown defender at 6'6", 200 and whatever he was or is, and mean. Like his father was a tough son of a gun.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Mark was a really good. What would you call him, a number 2 pair defenseman? I don't know. Maybe on some teams. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and the penalty kill guy that would
Penalty
go
kill.
out there like him and Darian Hatch are going out there and just crushing guys. That's what
And
I
big
think.
penalty minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
140, 180, whatever. I mean,
Yeah. Not a
so I
fighter,
wa-
but like a finisher.
but he would. But he would.
Yeah. Oh,
if
no,
he,
no,
you know,
no
I mean,
question. Yeah.
and so I wonder if that's what people became enamored with Jared, and therefore became, and maybe he's more actually of what we're seeing under Bruce Cassidy, and maybe playing for guys like Bruce and Kevin Dean have allowed him to get that little bit of confidence in a short period of time. I'd be curious to ask Butch or Dino about that, but let's get to the hit. Later in the second period, coming up the ice, left wing side, what, about 8 feet from the boards, maybe?
Yeah.
Am I off on that? About 8 feet comes
Yeah.
Brendan Tanev comes across, and simultaneously, in my eyes, simultaneously to him pushing the puck, dumping the puck into the offensive zone, gets hit hard, cleanly to the body by Tanev, and propelled violently into the wall in front of the Bruins bench. Initially, no call was made on the ice, at least nothing overt. No arms that I saw were raised between the officials. Definitely not the back referee, because we saw him. Number 8, was it Saint Laurent? Again, my Jesus, my memory is going bad. You know, I know that one of them, Pierre Lambert and Francois Saint Laurent. Okay, number 8, Francois Saint Laurent didn't have his arm up. Goes in, he's unquestionably. I mean, you know that something's up because of how he's buckled going in and how his body goes.
Yeah. Limp. A little bit limp.
Right. They stop the play right away. The referees converge with the linesmen. They talk. And then they go and they make the call that they didn't do with Tom Wilson, a major penalty. They check to see how he is.
It's the
They
exact
determine
opposite
in
of
their
Tom
eyes.
Wilson's situation.
It's right. Their eyes, they determine subjectively, they say, or maybe their eyes objectively, I don't know, whatever you want to say, that he's injured. Therefore, it's a major penalty. Because if there's this type of play that results in an injury, then it has to be a major, and it also involves a game misconduct then too, if it causes injury, if that's what they determine. But it's not cut and dried, Razor. Now, they go to review, they look at it, they still determine in their eyes that despite the cleanness, I shouldn't put words in there, despite the hit not being to the head or anything, that the hit in their opinion and the result determines being a major penalty. This is an incredibly gray area call. Maybe not to some people, because I talked to 6 different hockey people, heard from another one since we left the studio. You talked to tons of people too.
Yeah.
And there was not a consensus answer to this. I thought it was a very clean hit.
That's pretty as close as consensus as we've got in all of this, is that it was a clean hit and just stop it right there. I think the people I've talked to as well, that it was a clean hit.
But
Now-
but hold on now. But if people are saying that it should have been a major, then it couldn't have been a clean hit because it resulted in an injury. Meaning it couldn't have been a clean hit to those people because they're saying, well, it should have been, because the way it propelled him or projected him into the boards is violent and it causes harm and an injury. So therefore, it's not a clean hit. What I'm saying by a clean hit, there was no head contact. He didn't drive up. He went through the body. It was,
Yes.
I didn't think it was blindside. I know he came from the side, but I didn't think he was blindside. I think it was a really clean, heavy, vicious hit. When I mean vicious, I mean the physical force of it that really resulted in a gut-wrenching bad result. I can understand, partner, a minor penalty on the play. I can. I can see it. But if it ends up in a result of a penalty of an injury, I think you have to call it a major. I do. But I talked to a bunch of officials, current officials, and all the officials that I talked to said that they would not have called it a penalty.
Yeah, and it's. I guess I'm assuming it's more so around here. It's taking a bit of a life on its own, and that's. It does a 2-minute minor right away rather than doing the major. Does the 2-minute minor right away nip that in the bud? Does it? Because I don't think we certainly, whether it was a 5-minute major and it hasn't taken any of the gray area out. We're all still, again, I'm more on the fence than in the fact of in Tanev's intent. I feel like he tried to take advantage of Tinordi a little bit, and I think Tinordi, could have been a little more protective of where he was on the ice. But at the same, I just think the way the angle came across, Tanev coming across, it wasn't that sweep play where he's trying to rub him into the boards. He's trying to, I think, get a little payback on Malkin getting knocked out of the game because of Tinordi. I think he saw an opportunity, and that. But, and I understand that's gray area because that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a penalty. And that's where I'm a little bit on the fence is, it might not, I don't really believe the intent. I don't really agree with the hockey play, but if you go by the letter of the law, is it a penalty? And
it depends which letters of the law
you want to take and what you want to read.
Right.
That's right. And that's the part that's turned this so gray and why we've gotten many different opinions and views and answers.
Yeah, I talked to 1, 2, 3 current officials, an executive or 2, former official. I did have one who said yes, upon review numerous times and different angles, he felt he understands why it's a major. The 3 current officials said no. And executive was more in the middle.
And the hockey guys I talked to, the older hockey guys, one of them ended his career on a concussion that from a bad hit. He said that bad position, bad result, but clean hit. So that's what some of the older guys thought.
Yeah, I guess, and here's the other thing. I think that they went to review, didn't make the call, went to review because I think after the Wilson incident, especially Lambert, this young official, it's like, hey, I see a player now.
Maybe I didn't see this the right way. I'm never going to ref again if I get this wrong. And that's a reasonable, that's a human emotion, human thought.
So I connected with with one of the officials, and to paraphrase it, one of the things I asked him, I said, do you think the league would come down on you if you didn't make a call here and you didn't do anything? And he said, no, not at all. And yet, talking to other people around, execs involved, with the league, and they also admit it's kind of subjective to the referee's discretion. So with all of this, and I understand that Bruins fans might not love to hear it, and look, folks, I love it when the Bruins do well. And I want everybody to be safe, by the way. That's the other thing, too. I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I want the Bruins to win. But, I said I could see it as a penalty, but I also thought it was a clean hit, and I think it's a hit with just a bad result, an awful result, and it wrenches my gut to see a player hurt like that. But I don't know is Tanev there, Razor, not supposed to hit him? Is he not supposed to go over there and hit him?
No, and that's where whether it's guys not being aware on the ice all the time, because not everybody gets hit that way anymore. 20 years ago, everybody got smoked that way. Every single person, so you wouldn't ever put yourself in that position, ever.
Right. Even after you let go of the puck.
It would have been 4 or 5 seconds later, you're getting smoked if you go over in that way. And that's, that's I think playing into me a little bit too is that guys don't expect to get hit sometimes out there anymore. And I know there's a lot of older hockey players that get tired of that and don't appreciate that. And the league's turning into a no-hitting league, and you see that often. And I think it's again on both sides where guys aren't expecting to get hit anymore out there. So when you do have one or two players on each team that are still looking to finish checks and still looking, not just putting a stick on puck, they can end up getting guys in a tough spot because they're not prepared.
Just a comment here, and then we'll wrap things up here.
Yeah.
Crosby comments, post-game comments on the hit. I saw one quick replay. I don't think he had any intent there. I hope Tornorti's okay. He went in pretty awkwardly. But I thought he hit him clean. He hit him timely as far as the puck being there. I didn't think it warranted a 5-minute. The refs are out there trying to protect us and to keep us safe. I get it. I can see them trying to do that, but I don't see it that way. I hope he's okay, and I hope as players we can get some clarity on what's a good hit and what's not. I thought to really gauge when you're out, it's tough to really gauge when you're out there. I know it's fast, but right now it's really hard to know what is in fact a clean hit and what's not. And when you're out there playing, it's important that you do know that. He finished up saying, if they're going to err on the side of protecting us, I don't think I'm ever going to argue that as a player, especially with Tinordi being hurt and seeing him go in awkwardly. I get it. It's understanding that it seems like it's a bit of a gray area right now. And,
that sums it up.
Said the same.
And that's a guy that's dealt with concussion issues. And the telling point is what's a hit and what isn't. That's what all these guys want to know. Because, again, if you know that's a hit, then you protect yourself differently. If you don't expect that to be a hit, if that's against the rules, then maybe you're a little more lax on that. And Sid's played in a few different eras already now as an older guy, and I'm interested to see if there's any more fallout or if it just goes away now. If everyone wakes up,
5-minute major.
Yeah.
Well, geez, let's hope Tinordi's all right.
That's
first of all, and then, but this I'm be curious if this will end up being a hit that is discussed by the officials before next season when they have their meeting in the league. I can't imagine how it isn't, because to your point, to our point, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Because the result, are we penalizing the result or are we penalizing the intent? It's rhetorical. I'm not asking you to come up with the answer here on Morning Brew.
I got nothing.
But it's interesting. All right, we've gone a little long. For that, I apologize. But a good game by the Bruins.
Hey, we got to win.
Let's go. Let's enjoy it a little bit more. Now, Buffalo, Thursday night, Saturday afternoon. We don't know about Tuukka Rask. We don't know how many, or if Yaro's going to already start on Thursday. The Bruins have a full day off on Wednesday. They'll get situated in Buffalo Wednesday night, get back at it against a team on Thursday that is a mess. That's the nicest way of saying it. I said it to begin the show. I'll say it now. They cannot screw this up. I know Buffalo eventually has to win a game, Razor. I get it. If you're the Boston Bruins and it happens against you, we don't even know if Taylor Hall's going to play after he got hit in the face, head, mouth, whatever it was, with a blistering shot earlier on Tuesday night. They're already without Jack Eichel. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm telling you, they can't lose these two games. They can't.
It's one thing if you're coming in with a 10-game winning streak and you just sleep on one, but these guys, the Bruins aren't in a position to be sleeping on anything or anyone in this NHL right now. That it doesn't, even whether it's the Buffalo Sabres or the minor leagues, the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, they have they can't sleep on anything right now.
No. All right, a day that started on my way to work with the pants.
There they are.
There they are, the big rip.
The poor
hands. They go down. I tell you, I got into the car. I heard the sound, and I had to go back upstairs and change. So I wasn't sure if it was a good omen or a bad omen. You thought it was a good
folks,
omen.
It was quite the night in the studio. We had missing jackets and earpieces, and we had all kinds of behind the scenes. but
we had good. We had good food.
We had
a good victory.
Really good food.
And by the way, we had a really other good interview earlier today with Ray Ferraro that is going to come out in a couple of days, and can't wait for everybody to hear that. It's a lot of fun. A ton of old 80s and early 90s Bruins talk from an opponent's perspective. A ton of fun. All right, Bruins win 2-1. That's going to wrap it up here on Morning Brew with Jaffrey and Razor. As always, folks, enjoy that coffee.